Hi everyone, it's Katie with That Cozy Fox, and today I'm going to show you a great no-sew option on how to close the top of a hat. So if you have worked a hat from the bottom up, then you're going to have this big gaping hole, and you're probably wondering what is the best way to close it. Well, there are so many different methods, but this is one that you don't ever have to take your hook out or get your sewing needle for. So this is the Bre Beanie pattern. If you love this pattern, you can find it on Etsy, but this will work for any other type of bottom up hat. So the very first thing we're going to do is flip the hat inside out. This is not how I've always done this, but I have just found that I prefer to do it this way now. So this isn't a must, this is just what I like to do. So you can easily flip it inside out without having to remove your hook. And then you are going to lay your hat flat with your stitch that your hook is in on one side. And now what you're going to do is you are going to insert your hook from outside to inside on this side of the hat where your hook currently is. Also, make sure you've already chain one at the end of your pattern. I forgot to say that because I already did it. So insert your hook from right to left on this side where your hook is, and then you're going to find the stitch opposite of where you're at on this side of the hat, and you will be inserting your hook from the inside of the hat to the outside to make a slip stitch. So I will insert my hook, make sure you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. You're going to just pick this stitch right here and then find the stitch that is halfway around and insert your hook. It does not have to be the exact halfway mark stitch as long as it's close enough. So I've got my hook through both sides. I'm going to yarn over and I will pull this through both of those stitches and my loop that's on the hook. So I've done a slip stitch. So now it should look like this, and you have two open sides. So you will choose which side you're going to do, but you will basically do the same thing. You're going to insert your hook over here, and you're going to also insert it over here to close it up. So find my stitch that's about halfway across the loop, insert my hook. Now I'm going to find my stitch that's about halfway on this side of this loop, insert my hook. Make sure you're keeping your working yarn to the right of your hook so you can yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. And we're not chaining one in between, so go ahead and organize it a little bit. You should have 4 loops now. You can see mine are not perfectly even. I am not that great at finding the halfway mark. But we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. Make sure you are using the ones across from each other. So I'm going to insert my hook into this loop or circle and this one. So you can see that's about halfway. That's about halfway. And yarn over, pull through all the loops. So now you'll have the 2 larger size loops left, and you'll do the same thing. You're going to basically sew them together, the ones that are diagonal from each other. So now you should have 8 approximately even little openings. You can get it all organized, make it look nice. You're gonna have 8 of these little openings. Now, if you want, You can do that one more time with all of them. That is too difficult to me. I don't like doing that. So what I do, these are small enough, and it also depends on how large the opening was that you started with. But you see you have this loop. So we are basically going to just weave our hook in and out of the stitches on that loop. And then you will grab your yarn and pull it through all of those stitches. So you're basically closing it up with a slip stitch. It's kind of like sewing, but we're using a crochet hook instead of a needle. So you will do this 8 times. And I apologize, it is a little bit difficult to see because we're working in such a small space. But just know that you're weaving your hook in and out of the stitches on each loop. And it doesn't have to be every single stitch, because you'll see, okay, this one, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6. And I'm kind of doing it in one, skipping a stitch, out the next, and then those last 2 stitches just kind of in and out. So it does not have to be exact. It's okay. It will look good at the end. Just make sure you're closing up those loops, those circles. So there's no openings. You're closing up the openings. That would be a much better way to say it. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing, but most of this is just, you need to see it on the work that you have in front of you. It's so much easier because this is such a small space that we're working into. And sometimes it can be a little difficult to find, where the loop is, the opening. You just kind of run your fingers along until you find an opening, and then you close it up. I like that this isn't a super precise way of doing things. It's too stressful for me to sometimes have to be very precise. So remember, you'll have 8 holes to close up. Oh, I messed up something there. Let's try that again. In and out, in and out. Pull it all the way through. And I tighten it really well after each one. So it looks like I have done all 8. And you'll see as you do it, it's a little bit hard to see with the white. The last time I did this video, I did a dark yarn and you couldn't see. I thought this would be a little bit easier. But for each time you pull it through, it makes a little bit of a stitch. And so you'll have like a circle of stitches. And then once you get all 8, I join it to the very first slip stitch. And I pull it through, nice and tight. Go ahead and chain 1. Then you can fasten off. You can see it's nice and closed up for good measure. I like to do just one more good knot, however you like to knot it, just to make sure it doesn't come open. Trim that. Now we will turn it back the right side. And you can see it's nice and gathered at the top. There are no holes, and you can't necessarily tell where it's joined at. It just is nice and even looking, nice and gathered, and you have a beautiful bottom to top hat. So I hope you enjoyed this type of closure. I hope you have closure on your closure. And I hope you'll join me next week for the next tutorial. I don't know what it is going to be yet, so add a comment below on what you think I should do a tutorial. Should I do a special type of stitch? Should I do a certain pattern? What do you think? What do you want to see? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day.